Okay, Dave, you know how you're a big fan of The Who.
Oh, the biggest.
Have you ever made a film about them?
It's in development.
Yeah, okay. I'm a big fan of the Beatles also. Never made a film about them. But our guest today is such a big fan of the legendary DJ Dick Biondi, who is a Radio Hall of Famer. She founded the Dick Biondi Fan Club in Villa Park, Illinois in 1961. And she's now gone that step that you and I have not gone. And she's produced a documentary about him. It took him years to do it, but the film is finished. It's going to be available on streaming platforms. There's a movie premiere coming next week. We're talking to Pamela Enzweiler-Pulice on Minutia Men Celebrity Interview.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Men Celebrity Interview with Rick and Dave.
Pamela, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Rick and Dave.
You know, we first met when we were both guests on a radio show together. I think it was WGN. It must have been 10 years ago.
It was.
Okay. And you were already working on this movie then. Talk about perseverance. I admire you for getting it done, not just because you worked so hard on it, but mainly because Dave and I tried to get Dick to do a book about his life for years, and he wouldn't agree to it. How did you convince him to do this?
I can't believe. Well, I know. This is shocking, I'll tell you. Well, you know, going back to WLS early days when Dick was like #1 disc jockey in America, which we didn't know. We thought he was our local guy.
Yeah.
I met Dick at that time. I was 13. I started a fan club for him. We became friends over the years. So I've known Dick my whole life. I knew his story. I knew somebody had to tell it. And I kept asking him, you know, has anybody approached you about doing a documentary? He said, yeah, I'm talking to somebody right now. So a year later, I said, Dick, whatever happened with that documentary? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
I said, you know, and my brain was like, okay, somebody's got to do this. Now, I did have a little background in video production.
Okay.
So I know this is a long-winded answer to your question.
That's
but
good.
When I did call him at the station, when I finally decided to do this, I called him up. I said, Dick, I really want to do your story, and I want to do it from the viewpoint of the fans. And honestly, I believe that's why he said yes to me. Because, you know, he loves his fans so much, he would do anything for his fans.
He does. We'll get into that in a bit here. But,
Before we get into the movie, let's just talk a little bit about Dick Biondi. He was one of the first rock and roll disc jockeys in Chicago in the early 60s at WLS. And for those of you under the age of 40, you probably don't realize how huge WLS was, right? But he was super energetic and a little silly. So we've got a little clip here from a song that he did that was an absolute enormous success.
It was
obscenely popular. Why don't you play it?
All right,
Which shows how goofy we were back in those days.
Yeah. Let's play a little bit of it here.
Chicago. In Chicago. A lot of people have been asking me to do an old favorite on the show tonight to sing the pizza song. But we won't do that for a while yet. Everybody is, you know, all right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. 61 degrees, the Dick Biondi Show. Let's be happy. Here's the first of our oldies as we celebrate the 3rd anniversary of WLS.
On top of a pizza, all covered with cheese, I saw my first meatball till somebody sneezed.
Yeah, we all remember that. You know, as a matter of fact, Pam, when I worked at the WJMK, the oldie station, with Dick, and we got a request for that, you know, 30 years later. 30 years after it came out, people wanted to hear that silly little pizza song.
And it was
like part of our youth, you know?
That's true.
But it was all over the place. I mean, it was a national story almost, you know? And, you know.
Was that one of the things that drew you to him? What was it about Dick Biondi as a radio personality that made you go, he's my guy?
Because he was so unique. I mean, we're listening to WIND, you know, Howard Miller. We're listening to all these local Chicago jocks that were, you know, pretty tame. Right. All of a sudden, I turned the WLS on, at 9 o'clock. His show was on from 9 to midnight. And I'm hearing this crazy guy, Goofy.
The Wild I-tralian.
You got it. And he was just slurping his coffee, and he was acting like a complete screwball. And, I mean, every kid that was under, 20, 30 fell madly in love with him, including me. So I was hooked.
I worked with him for 10 years, as I mentioned, at WJMK, and I appeared on the air with him a couple of times, once when he filled in for John Landecker on the morning show, and once on a podcast with Tony Lasano. I heard his stories, and his stories are unbelievable. I think I've told one on this show before about Jerry Lee Lewis and Michael Landon. I don't know if you knew that story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that story.
But he was really the first DJ in America to play the Beatles on the radio. He introduced the Beatles on stage at the Hollywood Bowl. He hung out with Elvis at Graceland. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite story of Dick's?
Oh, gosh, there's so many. And, the film is only 65 minutes, the documentary. I mean, we had so many stories that we couldn't get in, but we do have a DVD with special features. And one of the stories on that DVD is Dick. It was out in Los Angeles, and he was introducing the Rolling Stones. And he's got a million stories about this. But he said he was in the limo afterwards. He was hanging out with all the Stones. They were going out. And, okay, wait, I'm sorry. I went too far. There's two stories about the Stones, but the one I want to tell you is during the concert, a woman jumped off the balcony and landed on the stage, and she grabbed Mick Jagger's ankle, and she broke her leg, and she wouldn't let go. And Mick Jagger kept singing, dragging her around the stage until the security came and took her away and took her to get her leg fixed. I mean, crazy stuff like that.
Didn't John Wilkes Booth jump off the balcony and break his leg too?
Just had a happier ending.
Oh, great!
There's a star-studded lineup of people who contributed to this documentary. Just to name a few, and I want you to kind of expand on it. Brian Wilson is in it. Tony Orlando, Paul Schaefer. Tell us how you got these people, and obviously Dick had a huge impact on them. Well,
Dick gave me a list of people to interview, and I tried my best to accommodate him. I didn't quite get them all, but I really tried. Frankie Valli was one I had to really work at to try to get, but I did, luckily. Brian Wilson, that was a thrill, I'll tell you. Yeah. Brian Wilson and Al Jardine from the Beach Boys we got to interview. Paul Schaefer, I met him backstage at the Arcada Theater, thanks to Ron Onesti. Ron Onesti, who owns the Arcada and the Des Plaines Theater, had allowed me to come backstage. And that's where I got to meet Paul Schaefer, Tony Orlando, Frankie Avalon, Bobby Rydell. I think that was it. But he was very helpful. And I also got to interview, let's see, who else? Jim Peterick, all of the cornerstones of rock guys.
Yeah.
The Buckinghams and all those groups. The band Chicago was one he specifically wanted me to interview Walt Perizzator, one of the founders of Chicago. And that was a story in itself because I had to go out to Las Vegas to do that. And I did get to interview him and ride the elevator to his second floor studio with my equipment and my co-producer, Stephanie. And that was really a thrill to be there and see that room. You wouldn't believe it was a huge room, first of all, and every wall was plastered with platinum and, gold records, and it was amazing. So I really had quite an experience doing this documentary.
Yeah, I guess.
To be honest with you,
go ahead.
To be honest with you, I never interviewed anybody famous before I did this, and I was pretty scared to even do it, but I did it. So I'm so happy. It's just been life-changing, honestly.
Did any of those people when you were interviewing them, did you ever lock up because you were so starstruck, or did you just professionally carry on?
I carried on, and the first time we interviewed Dick, it was like I couldn't believe it, and I had my little crew in there, and we went up to the WLS-FM studios, and we had so much equipment. My sister came along and helped. This was the very first beginning, and I didn't even have a crew. I had a friend who was a documentary filmmaker who came along to help me. We had so much equipment, we were dragging it down the street from the parking garage. I felt like a mule. We get up to the elevator and we load up this huge cart, and Dick comes down and he looks at it and he goes, what do you need all this for? And I'm like, well, Dick, that's why they call it a production.
That's right.
And it was just, I was nervous as all get out, I'll tell you. And as much as I know Dick, I just couldn't believe he was allowing me to do this.
Yeah.
So we get up there, and I had forgotten one little piece from one of my lights. So in the middle of the interview, the damn light fell down, and it was I had to stop and fix it and put some tape on it to hold it, goofy stuff like that, But no, we managed, we got through it, and we were so lucky because Dick was doing very well when we interviewed him, and we got some great stories.
Dave and I have a couple of our books that are going through this process of becoming films. And it's a very complicated thing. And you have managed to get this film not only filmed and completed, but now it's going to be on streaming services, including Amazon and Apple TV. How did you manage to navigate the business part of it? Because that is really complex.
Very complex. And people have asked me along the way, it's been 12 years.
Right.
And I never made a film before. I had done videos. Well, that's not even in the same category. But a film it requires all kinds of crazy hoops to jump through. And I just had to really educate myself. And luckily I had a great team. I ended up getting my filmmaker friend, Pat, that had started out with me. She had made a documentary, and I got her team on board. So I was so lucky because these guys were seasoned professionals. They helped me a lot, and they pointed the way. They helped me jump through a lot of hoops. But in the meantime, I had to make a lot of decisions, things that maybe my friend Pat had never done. So I just did a lot. You know what I did? I'll tell you. My advice to anybody who wants to make a film: keep watching YouTube videos of people that are in the business. Like there's this thing called Film Courage. I watch Film Courage day and night, and there's all kinds of screenwriters and producers and directors and distributors.
Yeah.
And so I find my distributor. I listened to a lot of people, and I chose the right guy that found me a distributor. I had a producer's rep, Circus Road Films. His name is Glenn Reynolds. I highly recommend him. He's an honest guy, and he really helped me out. So, just do your research and just keep plugging away. Put one foot in front of the other. Don't ever give up. That's my advice.
And you would not have been able to be where you're at now if this wasn't a labor of love, obviously. You probably would have
completely
chucked it a long time ago, right? With all the brick walls. So talk to us about the red carpet movie premiere that is coming up. Tell us about that.
Oh my goodness.
Can we come?
Excited.
Because Rick has already got an outfit planned for
That's
it.
right.
Yes, you can come. Are you kidding?
Of course. Tell us about the premiere.
Well, it's open to the public. The tickets are available on Displain's website, displainstheater.com. Ron Onesti, who owns the theater, he's been such a big part of this thing that he actually helped me fundraise too. So he's a co-producer on the film, and he's hosting the red carpet premiere. And we're going to have celebrities like Jim Peterick will be there. John Landecker's supposed to be there.
Oh.
Unfortunately, Bob Surratt's out of town, so but we've got all kinds of disc jockeys, radio people, and the Cornerstones of Rock guys. Ray Graffia from the New Colony Six is coming. Jim Pilster from the Crying Shames. We probably a lot more people that I haven't even gotten returns from yet. So, but we also have on the red carpet some celebrity lookalikes. We've got a gal who's going to do a Joan Rivers thing with her microphone as people approach the red carpet. So, and we've got our official rock photographer, Jim Samaria. He's wonderful.
Sure, we know Jim.
Sure. Everybody knows Jim. He's so talented. So he's our official rock photographer, and he's going to be there taking pictures. People can come and mingle with all the celebrities, and then we're going to have the film showing. We're showing it for the very first time with all of its swapped out footage. You know, we had to license all the footage. So
Right.
this has not been seen before in public. And it's all been sound and color balanced. And it's just finally ready to go. And it's actually out right now. It's streaming. And you know what I found out? It's not only streaming in America, it's going around the world in some countries.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
That's so cool.
So, yeah. Very excited.
Did we mention the name of the film?
I don't think we
Oh,
did.
well,
That might be
yeah,
it.
why don't you tell everybody?
The Voice That Rocked America, the Dick Biondi story.
And it's March 28th. I don't think we mentioned the
Right.
date.
No, it's
either.
March 29th.
Yeah. March
It's a
29th.
Sunday.
Okay.
Yes. See, good thing we
Yes.
didn't mention the date.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon. Doors open at 3:30 for the red carpet.
Wow.
I'm
the show
gonna
starts
be
at
there
5.
for sure. I promise.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Because
That's
I
awesome.
live in Mount Prospect, which is right down the street, and all these people you mentioned, they're all friends of mine. So I want to go see everybody, and
Oh,
plus,
I'm so
can't
glad.
wait to see the movie.
Awesome. I can't wait for you to see it. It's
So-
just, it's a dream come true, Rick.
Obviously, we lost Dick a few years ago. Was something that I honestly didn't believe could happen because he just seemed like such an unstoppable force. I witnessed him in person at some live broadcasts, and he was just absolutely beloved. And
Yes, he
took
was.
his time to talk to every single fan. And, I've been around this business for many, many years. He is the single best person I've ever seen in a setting like that. Do you think that that's one of the reasons why he was so beloved? Why is that why you love him so much?
I believe it is because he took the time to come and talk to me when I first met him, and he was doing a remote. And I was a tongue-tied teenager. I didn't know what to say to him, but I knew I had to talk to him. And before I could even say anything, he was just like so warm and so welcoming. Oh, girls, it's so good to see you. Thank you for coming out. He's so humble.
Yeah, and that's
so,
true. He was humble.
So gracious and always appreciated everybody. Took the time to tell them how much he appreciated them. And I truly believe that's why he was so beloved. And that's why I made this film, honestly.
The thing that would blow me away is, he's playing 2-minute songs.
Yeah.
For these on the oldie station, these are all really short songs, and yet during the songs, he's still talking to people. Having a conversation. The song will end. He'll be like, "It's a new Colony 6," and go back to the conversation. It was really
you mean
something.
on the phone with his fans? You
Yes,
mean, right?
yes, absolutely.
Totally. Do you know that back in the early WLS days, if you tried to call Dick Biondi at WLS, it was, first of all, I lived in Villa Park. It was a toll call.
Oh.
You would have to wait. It was a busy signal. We didn't have call waiting and all that. It was a busy signal. You would have to dial for an hour just to get through. And once you got through, this is what happened to me. I heard Dick's voice, and he said, "Dick Biondi, hold on."
Yeah.
Guess what? I held on for another hour.
Wow.
And then along comes Dick, and he says, and, I had just met him, and I kept saying, I had to tell him. I did this every night, by the way. My parents, they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I don't know how they let me do this. But I
And
had to get-
shouldn't you have been studying, Pamela? How old were you at this time?
Yeah,
Listen, young lady,
I was
back to the
studying-
book.
I was
Exactly.
studying Dick Biondi.
Yeah, this rock and roll thing is not something.
It's never gonna
It's
last.
the devil's music, Pamela.
That's right. So anyway, I would say, Dick, this is Pamela Enzweiler. Remember me? I met you at the Hillside Shopping Center today. I'm the girl with the red hair and freckles, remember? Oh, Pam, so good to see you. Thanks for coming out. And then he'd say my name on the air, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's
Well,
great.
then the next night I'm calling him again. And then because I didn't want him to forget me. And then I started the fan club, and that was it. And he never forgot me after that.
Were there restraining orders involved here? Because it seems
Yeah, I
like
was going to say I was stalking the poor guy,
Well, I don't want to
No,
give
it
away
was
too
just-
much about what's happening in the movie because I want people to watch it. But why don't you plug away? Tell everybody exactly where they can see it. Repeat what you need to repeat, and tell everything we might have missed.
Okay. Well, the movie is streaming right now on Prime Video, Apple TV, Dish, Google Play, and YouTube TV. And you can buy the DVD with the special features on it on Amazon and on another site. I don't even know the name of this. But it's also streaming on Hoopla at your local library.
Oh.
If you have that service. And as far as the movie premiere, it's March 29th, 5 o'clock at the Des Plaines Theater. Doors open at 3:30. Tickets are only $25, and we have live entertainment. We have John Koziol, who does the Star Spangled Banner, Jimi Hendrix style. He's going to open the show. And then we're going to have the Stingrays band play some oldies. And they are fantastic. And last time we had them at the theater, they had everybody dancing in the aisles. And it's just a short set, like 15 minutes. And then we're going to go in, and we've got all kinds of things. We've got a guitar auction. The Cornerstones of Rock signed a guitar, and we're going to auction that off, try to pay off these finishing bills that we have.
Yeah.
And Ron Onesti, of course, is going to be on hand to handle everything, and he's a showman himself, you know.
Yes, he is.
So then we're going to show the film, and then we'll have a Q&A afterwards, and it's just going to be the best time ever. I can't wait.
Website that you can plug?
Well, you can always go to my website, dickbiondifilm.com.
Beautiful.
Or you can go get tickets directly on the DesPlainesTheater.com website.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show,
This
Pam.
is great.
We're going to come. I can't wait
I'm
to
so
see
glad.
And congratulations on the perseverance and the stick-to-itiveness. Because Rick and I would have
quit.
Yeah, we would have like, this is too much trouble. But no, really a testament to your passion and good
Well,
for
you know,
good for
I've got
you.
a new nickname. I'm called the Diva of Diligence.
Okay.
Well, I like that.
Wow.
That looks good on
I
a
like it
business
too.
card.
Right.
The Diva of
Thank
Diligence. Pamela, thanks for being on the show, and best of luck on everything.
And thanks. I look forward to seeing you at the show.
Okay, we'll see you there.
All right. Take
bye-bye.
care.
There
Bye.
she goes. That is Pamela Enzweiler-Pulice.
That's great.
Dick Biondi is one of the most unusual and wonderful people I ever met in my career. I feel like I was privileged to have met him, and he did often forget my name.
I must have met him a dozen times, and he was very warm to introduce himself to me. But yeah, I did not make an impression on him as he made.
So I went down this rabbit hole, knowing that we would have Pam on, and found some more video and audio. I want to play a little bit. This is the first time Dick Biondi introduced the Beatles. And this was in 1963. The song "Please Please Me" had just come out. It was on VJ Records in Chicago. It was a Chicago record label. They were unheard of. No one knew them at all.
What year is this?
1963.
Okay.
So remember, they didn't hit the Ed Sullivan Show till 64.
Okay.
So
were you alive?
yes, I was barely alive. This is just a few months.
Do you know what the date was?
It says winter.
Okay.
So it's a very short intro, and then we're going to play another Dick Biondi jingle, because I love those old jingles. Here we go.
The Beatles and please me.
WLS, Dick Biondi plays the best tonight. WLS, music swinging all the night.
What a wonderful treat you'll get.
You're gonna love his show, we bet. The show will go so fast. Dick moves along with music and song. Happy chatter too. That's specially meant for you. So if you want music with a beat, take this great big tip from us.
This is the right thing, that's why we sing.
You'll like the Dick Biondi Show.
That is, and that.
They always leave a little place like this for.
Hey, Dick, we got here.
Dick, we're going to come back with some more singing here in a moment. Wait. Because
So if you want music with a beat, take this great big tip from us.
This is the right thing, that's why we sing.
You like the Dick Biondi Show.
That was not done with AI.
I know, isn't that awesome?
They had people come in,
Yeah.
They had the drummer, they had the whole thing.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Probably
Oh, yeah.
was not cheap.
That was the best. Well, so thanks very much to Pam Enzweiler-Pulice for being on the show. And she mentioned all the dates and times and everything you need. But if you were a Dick Biondi fan and you grew up in Chicago, you're a Dick Biondi fan.
Yeah, right.
Especially if you're over the age of, let's say, 60, right?
Actually, I think we might actually be the young.
Well, he was around at the end
Right.
there, when the oldie stations. He was on WL. He just passed away a couple of years ago.
No,
And
I know.
He was on the air until almost the very end of his life.
Yeah, and what I remember, he would get to the radio station 5 hours before his show.
Right, that's true.
And somebody told me this story that he would call every morning to ask if he had
Yes,
been.
this is a true story. So when I worked with him at WJMK, he had been fired 23 times in his career. That's almost impossible to do. And when he was at WJMK, that was the longest stretch he had ever been on one radio station. He was on for 10 years or something like that. And he would call the program director, Kevin Robinson, every morning to make sure he still had a job.
Hey, have I been fired yet? No, Dick, come on in.
So anyway, we have people to thank. Thanks to Pam. Thanks to Brandon for scoring the interview. Thanks also to Tony Lasano, the executive producer of the show. Thanks to Ed Silla with the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again soon with another episode of
Minutia Man Celebrity Interview.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?
Dick Biondi, DJ WLS-FM.
Dick Biondi, you're such a weenie.
And that's the truth.